This is Brendan from the China Import Formula. Today's tip is a little bit of fun. It's something that I've created just to create a bit of a good vibe and enjoyment. There's a thing called a rite of passage, and if you're a beginner importer, then here's a tip for you. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you're in the army. You start off as private, and then after private there's corporal, and then after corporal you become sergeant, and then lieutenant, and then colonel, and then major, and then you become the general, and then the fourth sergeant. In importing, it's quite a similar thing. I want you to imagine there are rites of passage. Now the first rite of passage, the thing you're going to start on, is just communicating with a supplier, right? That's your first stripe. Your first stripe's here. I want you to get your first stripe by emailing a factory and just talking to them, communicating, even if you don't importing. Suddenly, you're ahead of 50% of the game of people who are probably on this website looking at how to import. Secondly, receive a sample. If you receive a sample, then you're ahead of 90% of people. Get the factory to send you one copy of the product, right? You're probably going to have to pay for the shipping, and that's fine. Don't expect the factory to do something for free when they don't know you. Usually they'll give you the product for free and charge you for the shipping, and the shipping's usually more expensive anyway. The next thing the next step is to take your first order, and that will be by air, usually, because products by air are a lot cheaper and faster, and people are usually more comfortable getting a product sent by air just because of the costs involved and because of the time. The next step, and this is where I think you actually graduate to become an importer. Before that, you're someone who's trying it out and you're nervous. But to actually become a professional importer, this is the most important step, right? Go to China. There's a Guangzhou fair twice a year. Get on a plane. It'll cost you $1,000 to $2,000. Book early and just check it out. Because you'll get so much enjoyment, so much motivation, you'll see so many things, your eyes will literally pop out of your head, and you'll get the desire to import even more. Once you go there, it's like pushing a big stone off the hill. You just have all that momentum. And I remember my desire at importing was just to try and get my first 20-foot container. Like, imagine that, a box being put on the sea, sent over land, over the water, on the way to me, for me to sell in my country. And I thought, wow, I'll never get to that. And actually, you know what, after about 4 months of importing, it just so happened I have a product that could fill up a 20-foot container. And I was like, oh no, I'll never get a 40-foot container. And then 3 months later, I had my first 40-foot container. And then a month after that, my first 40-foot high Q container, which is the biggest container there is. And then I'd end up having 3 or 4 and sometimes up to 6 containers of the larger size in a month, right? Because I graduated to the next step. And each step doesn't necessarily become much harder than the previous step. It's just a matter of taking it in your stride, taking baby steps, and graduating your strides. Hopefully one day you'll be a general of importing. I'm Elias. I hope you found this tip useful, and for more information, simply head over to our website.